What's up, everybody? Logic in charge. We're back at you. It's Hoff and Cisco. We're here to run down some current events with y'all. Well, I'd like to start by saying we have received two strikes from ScrewTube. Both have now been proven that we were telling the truth. It's come out about the jibber jabber that it causes some kind of you know, hits you in the heart. We'll say it hits you right in the fucking heart. All right. But they said I was bullshitting about that. So with that, I'd like to say, give me my strike back, ScrewTube, with a one finger salute. Now, the other thing we got a strike on was Hunter Biden's laptop. And if y'all haven't heard, everybody, including the New York Times, is saying that it's a fact. It's there, and it says what I said it did. So once again, ScrewTube, give me my other fucking strike back, you piece of shit. I don't care to use if I'm using profanity to call you out. That's what you deserve. You try to censor, you gotta bring out the worst in people. And you gotta bring my aggression and my anger up. Because you're censoring me over some stuff that's true. All because it don't fit your fucking narrative. And that you expect me not to cuss and be belligerent towards you? You're out of your fucking mind. I'm gonna call it like I see it. You're pushing the narrative, ScrewTube. Stop it. Or just, be a publisher. Then you can call what we say. And if you're not going to do that, then shut the fuck up. Simple. What would you like to say about our strikes? Because I told you I'd give you the chance.
Yeah. And I told you that I completely agree with what you said. Don't agree with anything that you said there. Or don't disagree with anything that you said there. However, I'm going to be more reserved because I have...
Well, I'm angry by it, so I don't give a shit.
Because I have a little something else that's on my mind that I'll be ranting about shortly.
We'll get to that, yeah.
That, I may drop an F-bomb possibly in there. However, I'm trying to remain reserved because, quite frankly, we have been past, like, years ago that laugh or cry moment, and I refuse to cry. So, like his shirt says, now,
I'll be the Joker.
As far as the strikes go, really not even gonna address YouTube on it. Why? Tell you why. Because I'm here to tell everybody else that we're on BitChute, we're on Odyssey, we're on Rumble, and soon, so will everyone else that is worth watching. So...
I've said that transition pretty much already happened.
So, bye. Other than that...
Well, we get more views on BitChute anyway.
So other than that, I mean, I don't really have much to add. Why, there's an old saying, when your enemy is defeating himself, don't stop him.
That reminds me of the Joe Biden presidency. But today I wanted to run through, there's a bill in Florida that passed. It's for election policing and shit like that. I want to talk about the BLM co-founder brought up on charges of fraud. The little bitch-ass Juicy Smollett. I'm going to talk about his little fucking, oh, my bed's too lumpy, get me out of jail type shit. And then we're going to hit on Hunter Biden's laptop. Why not? It's been proven true. So why not talk about it? So anyway, starting off with the election policing. It's Senate Bill 524 in Florida. I think it's a good step forward. Now, only if we can get the right people to run it, to keep it legit, would be all right, as far as voting goes. But the rundown of the bill is, if you get caught with more mail-in ballots than what you should have, like one for you or immediate family, with papers saying that you should have that, it's a felony. That carries 5 years. It's a felony 3. That carries 5 years and a $50,000 fine. I think they could have went a little harder on that, considering it is a treasonous act. And that's the way I would prosecute it. I would call it treason and hang them. Sorry, it's the truth. You want to fuck my country? Well, my country wants to fuck you too. It limits funding. So you won't have Sucker Turd being able to donate so much to mail-in voting and voting in general. However, I believe there'll be ways around that. You know, the little loopholes they put in. But that's part of it. It limits the number of boxes that you can turn the ballots into. And it establishes a election fraud investigation unit. But yeah, I think that's a step in the right direction. What they need to do is make an ID law, and then instead of giving everybody all the other benefits, just give them a fucking ID and be done with it. It would make it so much easier. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on the election fraud?
Well, the whole spiel I just put out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as to call, you know, a single incident or even a couple incidents of that treasonous. However, when you start affecting elections, like has been seen to have been happening, yeah, at that point you're treasonous because you're subverting the actual will of the people. So on that, I'll give you that. No, I think that, look, they demand ID for you to enter a club.
To get beer.
They demand ID for you to get beer. They demand ID for up to 35 now for you to get a pack of smokes.
I thought it was 40.
No, it's up. Well, I mean, I guess it's arbitrary, like most of their fucking regulations.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can demand ID for all of that, but you can't demand ID for voting, a national responsibility. That dog don't hunt. That math don't add up.
Common Core.
And quite frankly, it's fucking insulting.
That's pretty much it. And you know, they want to say no IDs because of impoverished people. Stop impoverishing us. Let us grow. Let us get our money together. Stop fucking taking it from us and using it for bullshit. Maybe that would fucking work too.
Well, we're kind of leading into what I was wanting to talk about.
Oh hell, get it off your chest then.
Don't mind if I do.
I'll cop back in after you're done with the rest of our report.
I don't mind if I do. Okay, so let me tell you a little story. This story is about a kid born in the 1980s. We won't be so descriptive as to say exactly when. We'll just say this kid was born in the early 1980s. This kid went to school in which he heard the propaganda even back then in the school talking about the end of the world because the polar ice caps were going to melt and all this other stuff about how humans were killing the planet and blah, blah, blah. Yakety schmackety. Needless to say, the predictions that were made back then never came to fruition, never even close. However, something else also started getting pointed out around the mid-80s by a certain group of people that, you know, kind of paid attention to such things as, you know, geology and geometry and all this other fancy stuff that they, you know, teach in these, used to teach in these colleges in place of, you know, social engineering.
Gender studies.
And these people were talking about how the condensation trails behind the jets had changed significantly and they weren't disappearing anymore. Instead, it seemed like they were being used to make artificial clouds. And oh, shush, hush, conspiracy theorist, you're crazy, you're a kook. Now, keep in mind, this was back in the 80s, decades ago. Okay?
4 decades.
Now, the whole time that these people are pointing that out and saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't be spraying this stuff in our air, and hey, maybe look what it's doing to our plants, and hey, look what it's doing to our rain, hey, look what it's doing to our ocean. Hush, you're a conspiracy theorist. None of that stuff is going on. You're crazy.
Keep in mind, conspiracy theorist is a CIA term to cast doubt.
So for 40 years, this went on, unabated for 40 years. Now, since then, we've had declassified documentation that goes back even further than that into World War II, where secret whole military squads were being given bioengineered aerosolized gas to use on people, like the Japanese, like the Nazis.
They also experimented with meth, mustard gas, all that shit.
And so now we have the evidence, the undeniable evidence, that this had been going on for decades prior to this stuff being pointed out in the early 80s. And for decades afterwards. Now,
well,
meanwhile,
they experimented back in Korea.
Now,
the Korean War.
Meanwhile,
they started doing that shit. I was talking to Old Ed, and he knew about doing that shit back then.
Now, meanwhile, they're pumping the public full of this shit, talking about y'all are killing the planet. Y'all are polluting. We've got to get rid of the carbon in the air. And da 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 da. But it has since come out that it is, in fact, all the chemicals and shit that they're spraying in our air intentionally without our knowledge and without our permission that is now killing the planet, killing the ozone layer. And yet they're going to tell you that you need to drive an electric car while they go on their private yachts.
That take petrol.
Now, that's bad enough. But now you keep in mind, for decades, our tax dollars have been going to these secret projects that weren't so secret, but were kept secret, despite the fact that people pointed it out, called gaslighting, which they've tuned up to about 200% of what they used to do back then. So
yeah, because even back then, we were still proud to be American. They were still made in America. Made in USA.
So, I say all of that to say that I heard a very concerning report that is basically said that if this catastrophic behavior being done and not so secret by world governments,
well, let's be real, it's our government that started it.
That the complete destruction of our planet's ecosystem will soon reach critical. We're talking 16 to 36 months critical, which kind of makes what William Shatner was saying when he came back from outer orbit, talking about the upcoming catastrophe, kind of makes that seem very, very relevant, especially when you take into consideration the food shortages that are now being artificially induced, as well as induced by natural disasters. People, I'm saying all of this to say this. The people that claim to speak for you and have been claiming to speak for you for decades have not been. And in secret, they have been destroying your planet and blaming you for it and having you pay for it.
Oh, yes.
And
having
now,
you pay for your own destruction. Why not?
And now,
don't cost them nothing now, does it?
They're getting wrapped up in sting operations by the hundreds, the low-hanging fruit that is, in pedo stings, while the high-level demons are fleeing to their redoubts in undisclosed locations. People, you really need to wake up. World War III is upon us. I believe, it's my personal belief, that we are in the beginning of Armageddon.
We're at least in the Cold War already.
And you need to get right. You need to get spiritually right. You need to get attuned with whatever Holy Spirit you worship, whatever that may be. And you need to take action. Because if you don't, they have been, and they'll continue to. And from what I'm seeing, and from what you've already experienced, and from what we're going to experience here in the very near future, this cannot be allowed to stand, and these people need to be brought to justice. These people stole the world through deceit, through deception, and through coercion.
Straight theft.
Right.
But you see that they're trying to get rid of Fauci and eliminate him and his position.
He was a useful tool. They're done with him.
Oh,
now.
yeah, no. Just like Joe. That's why the fucking laptop came back out. But let's talk about, you said you had more of a rant too earlier, saying about the death of the dollar. Might as well touch on that while we're here at this point in juncture in time.
Yeah.
But let me just tell y'all like this. Think about it. Now, it's been covered by mainstream media that, Iran and China are heading peace negotiations for the United States. They are speaking for us. Since when?
I believe that's Russia and China speaking to Iran for us.
No, it's Iran and China speaking to Russia for us.
No, it's the Iran nuclear deal. So it's Russia and China speaking on behalf of us.
No, this is to
Iran.
step in the Ukrainian shit.
Oh.
Ukrainian shit.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, go ahead then.
But it's for them to step in and bring peace over in the Ukraine. Okay?
That's gonna
but my point is, first off, our government can't speak for us. And we're a democratic republic. Right? Last time I checked, we were. So how do Marxist, socialist, communist nations speak for us, have anything to do with our values? So why should they even say something on our side?
Well, I think it's funny that we're demonizing Putin in every single way. Bad Putin. He's the evil Satan. Down with Hitler, Putin. And
he's blowing up biolabs.
And oh, by the way,
and
dear Mr.
factories.
Dear Mr. Evil Putin, can you please ask the teacher a question for me, please, Mr. Putin, because the teacher won't listen to me.
Oh, God.
I know that I stole your crayon box and I broke your pencil earlier, and I've called you all kinds of names, but please, Mr. Putin, can you talk to the teacher for me? Kind of fucking.
And that's a sad state of our leadership.
Like, what the?
Except for. Yeah. And this is what we pay taxes for, people. So, if any of my audience, anybody out there that runs across this video on any platform, and can say what kind of values they would speak for us for, let me know, because I'm completely lost by this. It's over my head.
It's beyond juvenile.
No, it's... Oh, God. Like, it's a mess. Can you not see this shit, people? And that leads into the falling of the dollar as the reserve currency, too. Because you realize they're making gold deals behind our backs. What happens when everybody stops using it? Just think, supply and demand, you stupid asses. Wake up. If there's no supply if there's no demand for the dollar and you have such a high supply, hello?
Super hyperinflation.
Which is also the Feds, they raised it, what, 0.2%?
Well,
that's not going to fight a 15 to 20% inflation.
Well, I think you're missing the point. I think you're missing the root causes. And the root causes are because it's the time. And that time is now. And now is every day. And lesbian, gay, rainbow, because get it?
No, I know what it is.
No, you don't get it? Okay. It's because of small yay, black power, racist, white fragility, 2 and 2 equals 5, common core because rainbow
Plus 5.
equals Z. Get it?
Oh, so Z equals Joe Biden. That's about how it makes sense.
That's the world that's the clown show that we're living in.
It is.
If none of that shit made any sense to y'all, it's
It
because it wasn't
to.
supposed to.
But that's how they're portraying it.
We have gotten to the point now where the majority of our leadership lacks the intellectual integrity and or fortitude to actually articulate an argument that can be understood by the general public.
It's very true. It is very true. Because, I mean, look, AOC is the perfect example. That bitch has no clue what she's talking about. She thinks it's all about being popular and it's all to control somebody's mind.
You know, it's to the point now where I've now watched not just Kamala Harris.
I think you misspoke on her name. It's Kabbalah.
Whatever. we now have watched as her way of answering a question, which is either cackle or do what you watched me just do about 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's about it. No, except for it always comes back to racism or something to that effect with her, or
misogyny or sexism.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, I was that little black girl on the back of the bus. Yes, we remember Kamala.
I mean...
So, but that's my point. Like, my point is we've gotten to the point now where they no longer have any argument as far as policies go that make any kind of sense.
They have no logic behind them.
And so now it's just...
Do it because I feel this way.
Well, and you get, you know, arbitrary, platitudic statements that make absolutely no sense.
Can't argue with that.
You know, or you get the Kamala circle talk.
Well, that's all of them. Saki.
Or the Saki circle back.
No, there was no biolabs, regardless if they just said it.
Or the Saki circle back. You know what I mean? Like
the Saki circle jerk.
Kind of feels that way. Kind of feels that way.
I mean, it is. It's very true what you're saying. And it shouldn't take a fucking rocket scientist to understand this either. We, the people, need to come together and start using what we were born with. You know, we were born with brains. That's why we beat out the fucking the fucking little chimp men and shit like that. That's why we're not the apes.
That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother debate.
But that's what I'm saying is our brains, our minds gave us the ability to overcome that.
Right. No, I get
to critically think that, oh, this stone, if I put it in this rope and I sling it, I can kill something.
No, you're right. That is it is our minds and our ability to think and reason that makes the difference. It's the whole reason why we are the alpha predator on the planet. I get that. I get that. But what
But we, the people, need to start using that ability.
well, that's the thing. You know, like people really it is easier to con a man than it is to get a man who's been conned to admit that he's been conned.
Well, I mean, I guess that depends what kind of man you are.
Well, I mean that's
Get me one, shame on me, and I'll speak about it because I don't want something to happen to somebody else that can be prevented. Now, if you get me again, I'm coming after you.
but that's the society that we're living in now. You know, everyone we've gotten rid of true humility. We've gotten rid of these things, these what they like
Values.
to call what they like to call antiquated values like honor and respect.
Since when is that antiquated?
According to these people, it's about as antiquated as the Bible or the Ten Commandments or pretty much anything that made America great. So
anything that has to do with religion.
Well, anything that makes a society responsible and self-responsible, anything that makes a society self-reliant,
But that's why they set up the war on religion. And then you got the Pope wearing the red shoes. Maybe you should look into what that means, if you don't know what that means.
It's just
the red leather shoes.
For me, it's
and the fact that he's trying to combine all the religions.
For me, it's very disheartening to see the apathy in malaise in most of and I won't even say most of the populace among the world, because most of the populace among the world have
stood up
10 times what has been done in recent history here in America to stand up for their freedoms. And unfortunately, all of them don't have the same constitution, the same Bill of Rights that we do, and so therefore hasn't gone very well for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And thus a lot of people here have seen that and I've got too much to risk. Well, look, let's go out on a limb and let's say that the people that I'm listening to that are educated in this field, who say we've got 16 to 36 months to reverse their whole policy of spraying without letting us know what they're doing and how they're doing it and at what frequency and all that other stuff without transparency. If we don't put a stop to that, and I mean like 10 years ago, then there won't be anything to fight left for. Period.
And they came out and told you guys that they were doing this though, with the whole shit in Dubai. How they're making it. Once again, I'm talking about this shit, people. Because people don't understand that they're really doing this. And they tell you they're doing it.
Well, look. The people that I was listening to are talking about how gamma rays are starting to slip through our protective web around our planet. And that the next thing that's going to start sneaking through is going to be X-rays. Now, a little gamma radiation is no good for you. It's very cancer-causing. You can get very sick off of some gamma rays. But X-rays, nothing lives. And they're saying that with the depletion of our ozone layer due mostly to geoengineering, not man-made, but secret government-made, we could lose our ozone layer. Thus, bye-bye all vegetation, all life. Unless, of course, you've got years and years and years of stored up food and whatnot and can sustain your sanity living in a bunker for the next couple decades.
Well, that just made me think about it. Like, these elitists, right? They have the bunkers. They have everything they need. So why wouldn't they roast the top and then because, they're not going to do something that they can't fix. I don't believe that. Because they still want the planet for themselves. They want the resources, the power, and all that for themselves.
We're also talking about a bunch of hubris people who believe that they are a completely separate species than you or I.
Well, yeah, because they can trace their bloodlines all the way back.
And so...
The only problem is they're all retarded because they're all inbred.
But, these people have a plan, and for better or worse, and believe me, for you and I, it's worse. They're gonna go through with it
What was that Klaus
unless
Schwab said?
unless the planet
You
mobilizes.
will own nothing and be happy. I mean,
And I'm not saying get violent, but I'm saying the war can stop as simple as everybody saying, guess what? That rifle, I'm not picking it up. I refuse. Done. Matter of fact, Putin, you come fight this war. Zelenko, you come fight this war.
yeah, let them fight it out. Fuck it.
I'm done. I'm done fighting for you. I'm done fighting for you.
Well, my whole thing is they're not our allies. Why
The
the fuck are we over there? And I'll tell you why we're over there. It's because the shit that's on Hunter Biden's laptop, it can prove everything. I'm pretty sure of it. Or at least how they're laundering money through Burisma and things of that nature. How Joe bought the election. I meant, oops, did I say that out loud? Fuck. But that laptop's key, man. And they know they have it. They know it. They admitted to being real. So maybe you should go back and watch that interview with Hunter's business associate. So I'm pretty sure everything he said is just about true.
these people, they're not wrapped tight. They're not wrapped tight at all. Haven't been for generations. And now they believe that the planet can no longer sustain life. Well, thanks to what they have done in secret, it can't sustain life if I'm to believe the reports that I'm hearing. And so all I'm saying is when they do finally start admitting this publicly, because they're going to have to. At a certain point, they're going to have to because they want to
Well, no, they'll blame it on something else.
Well, no, because they want to reinstitute the lockdowns and whatnot. So they'll.
Oh yeah, China already is.
Right. So they'll announce it, and when they do, just remember that these are the very same people, the ones that are calling for you to lock down, the ones that are telling you that you can't work because you're non essential, the ones telling you that a robot's going to do your job from now on so you're no longer required. You're going to have to find some other way to make money and pay the taxes that they're still going to want to take from you, even when they've taken your job and replaced it with a robot or an illegal.
And when a loaf of bread costs $10.
And when your gas is $20 a gallon. Just remember, these are the very same people that gave themselves a 20% raise.
Yes. Yeah, that's what that budget was.
That goes to tell you what these people...
And they sent so many billion more over to Ukraine.
That goes to show you people what these people think of you.
Yeah, that's a nice little foot for your ass, ain't it? All right, let's get back from that rant real quick. We got a couple more topics that I want to talk about. Like, if BLM was a true movement that was really about the people, I would get behind it. Only problem is, it was found by the fraudsters, and the proof is in the pudding. Where's the money that they took for donations to help the communities? Where did that go? It bought that chick and that dude a whole bunch of stuff. Nice properties and things like that. That's why she got arrested. Because the whole foundation is illegitimate. Now that's my problem with the way it is. Like,
I got a bigger problem than that. My biggest problem with BLM, I got many, but my biggest one is right in their opening statement that they promote the destruction of the nuclear family.
Yeah, yep. I forgot about that because we covered that a while back.
That right there, that's right there. Stop, dead stop. It's a no-go from there.
I agree. I mean, that's why I fight so hard to keep my family together. Like, me and my girl, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and some days it's struggle, but I fight to keep my family together because I don't want it apart. I'll make compromises.
But yeah, like I said, from that point on, I have absolutely no respect for the organization. Whether they defraud the people,
It's a fraudful organization just by that. Because you can't say you're for the people if you're trying to break up the families and make it where the kids have no real true leadership in the household. And that ties in with the Juicy situation. You know, and the founder was calling for free Juicy, free Juicy. Man, look, he wanted out because he wasn't comfortable. I get that. Jail's not supposed to be comfortable. I've been there. I didn't like it. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to teach you a lesson. And I think it's kind of fucked up how he's able to do what he did, get sentenced, and then get out because it's too rough for him. Man, I wish I had that kind of luxury, but nah, I didn't.
I believe Tim Pool said it best: "The man's a sociopath, completely irredeemable, and not worth wasting my breath on."
Well, it irks me because I've been to jail, and this little pussy ass motherfucker can't do something worse than I did, and is okay with it. Like,
I get it. I feel you. My frustration is at the very same level, but it's not. He's just one focal point. Like,
I know he's a misdirection.
my yeah, exactly. My major anger right now are for the very same people that were never voted into office, that are controlling our governments like puppet masters on puppet strings, like dark marionettes. Those are the people that I'm pissed off at right now. The people like George Soros, who hired all these DAs that are doing exactly what you just described. You know what I mean? It goes beyond who they want me to be angry on. I know who's doing it.
Well, I know they're the face of it.
Right. And I know who's doing it. And so my anger is towards them. And I just really wish that.
Well, what I'm saying is no any man that been to jail.
I just really
should see through this bullshit just on that alone.
Like I was saying, I just really wish that more people of means saw this, understood what it is for what it is, and understood long term, and were able to see out long term what this is going to do.
Well, people need to be held accountable.
Right. And until that happens,
and that's from everyday people to the government.
Right.
We all have to be held accountable. And you know, society has rules, and if we have to follow them, why do they get to be above them? They can't represent us if they're above the law. There's no way in hell they can. Because that means no matter what they do, they can avoid persecution. That's how we got to the state we are today. And I don't know about y'all, but I know I'm sick of it. We need to get it where our politicians fear what the people are gonna do as far as like vote them in or out, or vote to have them jailed or whatever. Because that should be up to the people. We the people should be able to say, hey, we filled out a petition. We have this much of the population that wants this vote. But yet, we as a nation can't do that. I mean, they did recalls and all that, but what I'm talking about is going to require the majority of the states.
Well, there have been people that have been calling for a convention of the states now. That I've got mixed feelings on that, because if the framework that we already had was being followed, it would be more than enough to handle all of the problems that we face right now. But the problem is that the original framework has been used like toilet paper. We both know that.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it has to be led by the people. It has to be done by us.
Well, I mean...
And how can we do that? And it's not by convention because we still have speaking mouthpieces for us. No, we got to be able to stand up and speak as each individual person.
I agree. My only thing on that is at one point in time there were more people on this planet that wanted to be free than there were people that were placated by their slavery. At this point in time, however, I'm not so sure that most want to be free anymore. I believe at this point in time, they have corrupted society, and the population has grown so disaffected that the majority are placated by their servitude. I believe
I
that
can
most
understand that.
I believe that most of the population, for lack of a better term, to use a Matrix reference, are ladies in the red dress.
Well, they say it's easier to stay asleep. It's easier to be willfully ignorant. I couldn't imagine being that like that. Because in my eyes, that's just me giving up. That's giving up what I know. That's giving up what I grew up with. That's me giving up my values. That's what that amounts to in my eyes. And I won't let that happen. My values are part of who I am. And I don't want to let no politician take that from me. I won't let no billionaire silence me. Because at the end of the day, they can take my tongue. But I still got two hands to write with. I'll make a fucking program that'll read what I type. They're already out there anyway.
Well, again, like I said, I want to circle back and bring it back to the point that I brought up towards the beginning.
With the sake circle bag.
About the food shortages that we're already facing, that are gonna get worse. The
Because
inflation.
now the countries ain't exporting what they were.
Right.
If anything at all, they're not. I don't think any country's really exporting any kind of food, except for the U.S. Because why not create the food crisis here too?
The hyperinflation that we're now seeing. That is the other thing that I want to make sure that it stays forefront in people's minds and that they think on, because when you take all of that into consideration,
called this months ago too.
When you take all that into consideration, all the things that we're facing, and then you take into consideration that these people gave themselves a 21% raise, and that you're paying, they're forcing you through taxation to pay for all of this. So not only are they destroying your world, your quality of life, your jobs, your everything, they're making you pay for it. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't just tickle your balls in the wrong kind of way, I don't know what kind of neutered you are, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this, like a couple months ago, when I called the real rates. Because I did the little bit of math that I could do, because I'm not an expert, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist once again.
And not only are they making you pay for it, but
they're giving themselves a raise on top of it.
But then the brass ones to then blame you for it. They make these decisions without your input, using your money without your permission, and then got the cojones to turn around and blame you for it. That shows you the kind of sociopaths that you are dealing with. Do they sound like they can be reasoned with? Because I got to tell you, they don't sound like they can be reasoned with to me. I don't think these people understand what reality is. And if they
That's because their reality is different.
And if they do, well, they definitely don't give a shit about what reality is.
Well, that's why there has to be accountability.
I agree.
At the end of the day, our government won't change unless, we start making them accountable for what they do. And we got to figure out a way. Because I know when you got corrupt people making laws, the laws are going to be corrupt.
You know,
And I'm tired of living in corruption. It's not something that I want to pay for. My slavery is also something that I don't want to pay for. How many of you do?
you know, as a kid, I rebelled against the system. And as an adult, I'm still kind of rebelling against the system. So,
Well, it's like this. I'm not going to call it like that. It's different.
no,
It's
it's not.
it is
No,
different. It is different.
Follow me here. Follow me here. The reason why I point that out is because I remained true through it all. Through it all, I remained a rebel to the system because even back then, I knew then the system wasn't for the everyday person. I know, especially now, being older, that the system is definitely not for the everyday person. And you juxtapose that on the ones that are calling themselves rebels now, the Antifa, BLM types. And what are they doing? They're getting corporate sponsorships and they're fighting to stifle free speech. They are exactly opposite of what they claim to be and completely disgenuine. And if they're just disgenuine now in their young adult life, I don't have hopes that these people will be any more genuine when they become older, more mature adults.
There's a couple of them out there, though. Their
But,
parents taught them right.
you know, so I'm just saying, like,
I understand where you're coming from. Because our future is only going to be as good as the youth is today. And this whole, what is that, the Young Leaders, whatever, that Soros funds, it's not with your best interest, just saying. And that's who's getting put into these parties to run. And before you guys start voting for people, maybe you should see where they're from, what associations they're with, and look into them associations. So I guarantee you, if any of them associations are associated with George Soros, you don't want that person there. I guarantee it. But, you know, everything has to change, though. Like, even the way the laws are made up. Since when do them people... Why can't we have input on the laws? Why not? I'm curious.
well, look, these supposed lawmakers are supposed to be the best and the brightest, and that might have been true at one point in time, you know, when schools were still teaching and colleges were still teaching, but that hasn't been true for a couple of decades now, and it's never been more apparent than some of the statements that come out of some of these people's mouths. I've say some of these politicians they speak, and you know, it's a wonder that they can find their car in the morning. We've got certain senators and congressmen out there that believe that if there's too many people on one side of an island, it may capsize. You laugh. It's funny as shit. Sad. Funny. But you can look it up. This is real.
Oh, I know. Just the way you put it made me laugh.
You know.
I mean, Booty Give is a perfect example of that.
You know, we've got, you know, these people that want to believe that, you know, gas prices are going up. But don't worry, buy an electric car. Not understanding that the material, all of the material to make said pumps or charging stations for these electric vehicles would all need to be made from petroleum products, aka gas.
Plastics. Yeah, because almost all plastics are petroleum based.
So,
But I've been working on electric scooters, right? I've built one up. I've changed it from gas to electric, and I put a 72 volt 3000 watt motor on it now. It zooms, But the parts have went up in price pretty good because last year I was able to get a 48 volt 1000 watt um controller for around 15 to 18 bucks. Looking at them today, because
Probably double.
almost it's 25 for a decent one, and that's shipped from USA. I mean, I'm sure it's made in China because what manufacturing do we have to offset the money printing? You know, but that's just
It's about to get very painful for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and I hope that people.
so. I propose this, right? I propose that we ask for our checks in gold and silver, right? And then we take said gold and silver and use it to buy shit. I mean, why should we continue to pay these motherfuckers if they're not representing us? Fuck them, right? I mean, hey, we the people can do this, but we got to speak as one, saying stop our taxation without representation, or we're gonna cut you out of it. Because that would make them change their tone real quick. Because now you're taking their money away. Because that's why they got into politics, so they could sell us out and get their pockets fat.
The second that people realize that simply by not complying, the people win.
And that is peaceful
and,
non-compliance.
And these people lose. They say, go to war. You say, no. They say, give me your money. You say, no.
Mm-hmm.
They say, give me your kid.
Yeah.
You say, over my dead body.
I give them one finger salute.
But
how about you try?
This is what people really need to get down, and they need to man up. And I don't mean that in a sexist kind of way. I mean, even the women.
They need to person up.
Even the women need to man up, because it's game on.
Tough times are coming.
It's game on, people. You're about to find out.
If you haven't been getting ready, time is slim.
Like, you're about to find out. Like,
time is real slim.
We were saying these shortages were coming. We were saying that these shortages were
for 8-9 months ago.
The hyperinflation was coming. Now we're saying it's here, and it's going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
my prayer for everyone that is viewing this going forward is that no matter how tough the times get, do not lose hope. Do not lose faith. Do not lose who you are. Do not let them force you to become what you are not. And peace be with you.
Don't surrender yourself.
And that is all I got to say.
Yeah, because once you give up your heart to them, you don't have one. Keep that in mind too. But you know, I've been just a quick little end here. I've been thinking about, because I was supposed to do another kind of supply drive for the kids' home. I was gonna do it for February. Remember, I know the economy isn't ready for it or anything. I know our economy's gonna be rough. But I'm working on one for school supplies for the Reading Children's Home. I'm starting to set it up now, so I will keep everybody posted. Other than that, my last words are going to be keep your values, stay strong, and get ready. The storm is here.